This podcast is a production of Digital and Creative Media Works. To help support us, head to dcm.works to find links to our other show notes, Patreon, and merch. Hey guys, welcome back to the Arthritis Podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, DCM, Creative Director, Lead Writer, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Ben.
Hello.
And this week, Ben, there's been a lot of video games. I know we don't normally do the same media week to week, back to back. We normally try and change it up. Did Assassin's Creed last week.
We did Assassin's Creed last week with some films for a bit.
And then we had
some
Mario,
films
some
and some Mario. Yeah.
So this week we're doing another video game.
Yeah,
and
surprise.
Because it's out on the Nintendo Switch. So this week
it's been out for 6 years.
It's been out for a minute. So today we're talking about the legacy of Skyrim.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah. Now a bit of backstory for my relationship with this video game.
Yeah, because there's I think relationship is probably the best way to describe it for you.
Most people don't date people for as long as I've played this video game.
Yeah, I think
this video game is longer than any relationship I've ever had.
Yeah, it straight up is.
No, that's not true. I've been friends with you longer than the video game. Because we were friends before video game.
Yeah, but like not really.
Yeah, it's true. We're still not really friends. Yeah. This is all a facade. We don't even like this podcast. We just do it for the money. Ironic, given we don't make any. No, so I guess my context for this video game is that I played it a lot.
Yeah.
An awful lot. You know, I played it when it very first came out.
You guys, there was a group of you who bought PCs.
Well, I built mine earlier.
I think you already had yours, but there was another. But you were part of that hype circle.
Yeah, well, because back
in high school.
Yeah, because I played Oblivion. Way back in the day, and that was like the shiz.
I mean, I played Oblivion, but like I wasn't super into it.
Yeah, I thought
it was jank as hell.
I didn't like dig it. You know, it wasn't my scene. I was more into like your Assassin's Creeds and stuff at that time. But so the game comes out, and it like I stayed up till like 3 a.m. on a school night to play it.
On a school night,
yeah, I was like
shocking.
I went in for that one, and man, I tell you what, that was a great video game.
I think that I remember. My like experience of Skyrim was like I played Oblivion beforehand. Like I was playing Oblivion up till release to sort of get into it. There's like a photo on my Facebook of my character in Oblivion as far north as you can go on the map. It's like there's the border of Cyrodiil, and there's
maybe
I haven't played Oblivion in a while.
Who knows?
It's Cyrodiil. And there's just like the map label that just says Skyrim, and I think my comment was just like, please let me in.
Yeah.
And then I bought Skyrim for like $30 from some grey market key reseller.
You did that a lot
on like launch week. So that was like that was early days of like G2A and shit like that.
That was forever ago.
Yeah.
But it's funny thinking back now, you know, there's a few video game experiences I've had which have been similar in that they've
like the late night.
Yeah, like they've activated me in such a way that, not because of the hype, Skyrim was different because I think that was very cultural because like the Elder Scrolls at that time was like cultural, but I think in the time since I've had similar experiences with video games where they've just activated me in a way that I wasn't necessarily expecting. So like The Witcher 3 is obviously like an easy shorthand example.
Yeah.
New Vegas, these kind of RPGs that they hit the pleasure centers in my brain that I need for that kind of thing within me that likes
to
storytelling.
Feel.
Yeah,
you need video games to feel.
When I go to work, I don't feel. When I go to school, I don't feel. But when I play the Skyrim, I feel. Like it was kind of like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved that video game, and I played the ever loving shit out of it. You know, I would do things like, and this speaks to I think why the game has you know, obviously Bethesda really like money, but the other reason it's been republished over and over again is. It's the same reason why a lot of like open world games feel super good when you're playing them and you're playing the story, but when they're done, they just feel like these empty husks.
Yeah.
You know, like Watch Dogs is a classic example. You know, think about all of those great RPGs you play, but when you finish them, you're like, well, there's nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Skyrim, even when you finish it, you
don't really finish Skyrim.
You just return to the world to exist in it. And you feel like you're a part of that world when you're in it. And it's the same reason why like GTA games are so great and why, you know, Red Dead Redemption is one of the better games, better RPG style systems that's been made is like when you're in those worlds, it's not that you're playing the video game, it's that you take on the role of a character. Like it's very good role playing in that world, but that's only because the world is so well realized.
Yeah.
I've been
having with the game coming out on the Switch,
The Nintendo Switch.
I've had sort of my second big sort of playthrough of Skyrim.
Yep.
Not played this game much compared to you. But
I don't think anyone has.
No, I think you've got a high score, dude. I have this with like a lot of Bethesda games, namely 2. Sort of this sort of process timeline where I'll buy the game sort of fairly close to when it comes out, and then it'll just kind of like sit on my shelf, sit on my Steam library for just like, a few years. It'll mature like a good cheese.
Yeah.
And then I'll just kind of like, I'll be bored one evening and I'll just be like, oh, I'll start playing Fallout New Vegas, and
change your life.
150 hours later, I'm just like, oh, that was a fun game.
Yeah.
And sort of just like put it down, leave.
And then every now and then you're like, I'll play Skyrim now.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I've had, like, when a game came out, I didn't really get into it. Like, I played it, for like 20 hours, which is like, that's nothing. Like, that's not playing Skyrim.
That's tip of the iceberg.
It's just the tippity top. And then, I put it away for a while, and I had sort of one playthrough, probably like 2014-ish, where I got reasonably sort of in depth. Like, I've yet to finish the main quest. I don't know what character I'll do that on.
Yeah.
Not my current one.
Nah. It's no good.
No, it's like I know it sucks.
You just got to get it for those very good dragon shout powers.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But like my first character, because I was 12. Or no, I was like however old I was.
I don't know, man.
It was I did the classic like bow and arrow stealth.
Nice.
I did the Dark Brotherhood Thieves Guild. I did all that shit.
An edgelord.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I was like a Khajiit,
good.
I think. Or a dark elf, maybe.
You're like, give me a cat man.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna do that thing that everyone fucking does.
Yep.
And so like I've always had that sort of experience with Skyrim, but playing through it on the Switch, I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Like I've played the archer, I've played the mage. Like I'm just gonna play a dude with hammers.
Nice.
So my current character is just a dude with hammers, and you get an interesting perspective when you've sort of grown up and you're less of an edgelord and you play Skyrim again, and it's actually better. Because there's so many more. Because it's a weird thing. Well, when you play evil in these games, the game just kind of like it gives you a bit too much. Like it gives you a bit too much freedom. It's just like, oh, this door's locked. You're like, well, good thing I have no morals and like 80 lockpicking.
Yeah, you can bypass most problems.
Yeah, and it's like there's no passion. Like you don't hate anyone as an evil character. You're just kind of generally a dick. But like I've been playing through this, I've been like I want to be a good guy.
Yeah.
So I joined the Imperials because the fucking Stormcloaks are racist Nazi scum.
Wait, do you mean the other way around? I can't remember which way.
The Stormcloaks are super racist.
Which ones are they?
They're the Nords. They're the rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super racist.
Yeah. I can never remember which way around.
I dropped the main storyline and I did Dawnguard because I just fucking hate vampires. I've just been murking vampires.
They're pretty good to kill on.
I went to Riften and fucking hated it.
Well, it's the worst of
it's this weird thing where like playing a good character, there's so much like
you're like this is just
there's so much stuff that's like you can hate.
Yeah.
You can like get angry at someone because they're actually someone you can hate. You can be like, Ulfric Stormcloak is a legitimate asshole because he killed a bunch of people, overthrow the stable society because he had a wiener. Like he just like had a hard on for being in power.
And then
encouraged everyone to literally become Trump supporters.
It's wild to me. And then at some point during that transaction, he gets arrested for it, which makes total sense, and then gets off the hook because of a fucking dragon. And then he's like, I guess I won't face my crime punishment.
No, it's like, I guess I'll just run away to my city-state
Buck wild.
that I've taken over.
Yeah.
But
he's a militia leader.
Man, killing him is just, I guess spoiler alert, but killing him is, especially with a hammer, with a war hammer. Oh
nice.
man.
I set that cunt on fire. That's like, burn, bitch.
But it's like, so yeah, this character I've been playing, like, it's really interesting because it's like, you can play a character who like hates vampires and you can just go and murk all the vampires except for that one that's part of the storyline, but you can tell her to not be a vampire anymore, which I was very happy about. But we'll get into that in the Patreon thing.
Yeah.
but and you can hate racists because the game's full of racists.
Correct.
And like there's
Yeah,
all
North
these
is super racist
there's all
people.
this like awesome role playing that you can do if you just play like a human being with empathy.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest flaws of Bethesda games in general. And I've done like 8 videos on this, but I'm gonna bring it up again because I just think it's so important. Like, one of the biggest fuck ups in Fallout 4 is the first time, and they do this in every Bethesda game, the first time you come across a locked door, there's a lockpick, and then there's a computer terminal that opens it, and you have to either hack or lockpick. But if you just walk around the room, you find immediately like a key to the door and the password to the computer in a drawer or something.
Yeah.
Which, in theory, like, in an abstract environment, it makes sense that you can bypass that obstacle. But really what the game tells you immediately is like, you can bypass any challenge if you just poke around and find an immediate solution. You don't have to like bang your head against the wall being like, what's the fucking password of this computer? Like, really what you should have to do is, instead of hacking the computer, you should have to like look around the room in this guy's office and try and work out what the fuck his password is based on the evidence there.
I don't think they would ever do that.
No, but like if you were trying to build a compelling case for including lockpicking in your video game, that's a pretty good one. Or do it like the system in The Last of Us, where the number of lockpicks that you have actually matters because they're used for something else. Yeah. Whatever it is. But that was one of my biggest problems with Skyrim in general, is like when you do play those characters that the game clearly like in a gamifying way makes more strong against everything, like your stealth characters. The only time that stealth characters are bad is when you're fighting a dragon. But you can get away with that just by like shooting them with a 10 million arrows.
Or just by being near a city.
Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of people do the work for you. Yeah. But one of the most interesting ways to play Skyrim is on the legendary difficulty, because everything is hard. The world is like out to kill you at every stage and every turn. And it means that you end up playing with this like, it was so when I picked up the remastered edition, which is fantastic.
So what one's that? The special edition?
Yeah,
most recent one.
I got it for free on Steam because I had the original Skyrim, and it's like gorgeous and the shaders are fantastic. And I installed a bunch of mods on top of that to make it look even better. And then I played through the video game with no companions on legendary. I was playing this sort of conservative survival, like scrappy fighter character.
Yeah.
And it was the most rewarding experience I've had with the video game, because what it taught me was like, hey, Skyrim is actually like this world in which if the world is awful, it forces you to make really hard decisions all the time. Like, I had a survival mod on that it was like as like temperatures and stuff and food and all that. And so you can
I played with that briefly on PC.
And it's like the kind of decisions that you make are like, okay, well, I got to walk to that next town because that's where my quest objective is. But I need food.
To prepare for the walk.
Yeah, you're like, I need to walk through the snowstorm, but also I need food and warmth. And there's a guy in front of me who I can clearly see is like a guy working in a food store, but I have no money left. I could just kill him and take it. Or you're like, you actually start to have those conversations with yourself. Yeah. You're like, shit, do I kill this? Isn't that a slippery slope? To then, you have that thought process and you go, no. I'll see if he has any work for me and I'll try and get some coin. And then you start to build like this relationship with the world in a way that the vanilla game super duper wants you to do, but is so afraid to be non-accessible that they never like take any risks.
Yeah, there's elements of playing Skyrim without mods that I'm kind of like, I wish I could mod this out. Mm-hmm. I think the big one for me is like I hate being the Dragonborn. Mm-hmm. I think it's the worst part of Skyrim. Like it's like one of the few reasons why I think Oblivion is better than Skyrim.
You're just a dude in Oblivion.
Not in the sense that Oblivion is better, because it's really not. It's
also people that say that are super wrong.
People who say that Morrowind are better.
They're totally
more wrong.
They're totally different games as well. I think that's like something that people get really.
It's like comparing Fallout 3 and Fallout 4.
Right, they're not at all
if
similar.
Fallout 4 was really good.
Yeah, and it's like because Fallout 3 is garbage and Fallout 4 is a different kind of
New
garbage.
Vegas is...
And New Vegas is like a shining idol on a pedestal where you look up at it and you say to yourself, how...
They should hire Obsidian more often.
How is everyone not hiring Obsidian to make their video games? Like, why didn't the Batman franchise be like, Obsidian, please make our spin-off series? Whatever. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Everyone should be like, hey, Obsidian, do our fucking role-playing game.
Yeah.
Because they nail it.
Every
time, because they get it. They get the systems you need and the world to feel the way it needs to. And that's something that I got frustrated with Skyrim. That's kind of why I put it down. Obviously, I played like 600 hours or whatever, so I also got.
So that's one reason to put it down. Yeah,
I've done it all,
Yeah.
But then what I realized is like I'd done it all in one way, and that had given me one experience with the game, and then coming back to it when the remaster came out, that completely changed my perspective on the game. I went from being like this, I love this game because I have this like deep, it occupied a place in my life, and it occupied a time in my life. Whereas now, for me, it's that second experience that I think of it as a good game now because of that experience. It's not just a significant part of like my growing up or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Which I think like that's like an important distinction. Is like you can love a game because of when it was and why it was and when you were and why you were, versus like taking a step back and being like, this game actually has this amazing
like,
potential.
Legitimately good, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the pivot point for me was when I came back to it in that way. And I think, I don't know, whether this is a product of a lot of games are pretty cynical about the way that you play them now. So like a good example is, and I love The Witcher 3, it's one of my favorite games of all time, but there's a sequence about 2 or 3 hours in where you're going to hunt a griffin, and you sort of your first main big hunting project is hunting this griffin.
Yeah.
And you have your companion with you the whole time, and he kind of mansplains what to do a little bit throughout the thing.
Mansplains?
Yeah, like you meet up with him periodically, and he's like, "Okay, Geralt, now do the next thing." And it's like, I'm a fucking Witcher, I should know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of it's not bad storytelling, but it sucks in a way that I'm like, just let me do it my way. Like, I just want to, like, if I want to go talk to the woman and find out what the griffins do, I'm going to go talk, or if I want to go to the library in the town over and get a book about it, I'm going to do that. Like, don't feel the need to be like, hey, I think you should do this. Like, I can probably work it out.
Yeah.
But I get why it's there. And that's something that Skyrim did less of.
Skyrim, I would argue, is even on, like, the complete opposite of the spectrum, where the game will explain nothing to you. Where, you know, to the point in sort of the idea that if there's like a weird sort of, let's say you're doing a quest where it's like, oh, lead our army to take over this fort, which is a pretty common thing in Skyrim if you do the Civil War quests.
Yep.
And it's like, there's no like guy coming up to you going like, all right, here's how you move our troops. You press the B button to go into command mode. It's like, there's none of that. Like, it's a weird quest where you can just go in and stand around and you'll probably complete it because all the other guys will kill them for you. But it's a weird thing, or it's like, it's the complete opposite side of the spectrum because you don't have that character talking to you going like, you know,
do this,
get this done, this is how you do it, this is how you do that. And it's also not super interactive. Like a lot of the quests in Skyrim revolve around exist in a place and make someone else stop existing. Like, that's the two quests in Skyrim. Yeah. It's like, be somewhere, kill a thing. But there's so much, like, weird kind of... The process of existing in a place and killing making someone else not exist in a place anymore is, like... It's that play-by-play that's so much more interesting than just, like, the act of going to kill someone. That, like, makes... It sort of puts it in a different kind of field than something like The Witcher, where The Witcher is like, you know, do all of these like really different things because we've written like a ridiculous quest engine that lets us do all this cool dynamic shit, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. There's a lot of like interactivity, where Skyrim is just like
all discrete interactions.
Skyrim is like, you know, here's a set of, you know, most of the really interesting quests in Skyrim are like, here's a set of characters that all have these interesting motives, and like every character you'll have like 3 kind of interactions with that you can choose. You know, it'll be like, one of the interactions will be like, you know, talk to them and they'll tell you to do a thing or give you a thing, and then you talk to someone else. Like, another interaction will be like, talk to them slightly differently. And then the third interaction is just like, kill them. Something will happen. Like, there's some quests you can't sort of just take the kill route, but like, I had a few quests where, and this was kind of my character's hatred for certain people coming through. Like, my character, like, at the start of a quest, I would immediately have opinions of people in the quest, and I'd be like, I hate you, you're cool, fuck you. Like, and
which is so powerful.
And like, Skyrim will do a thing where a lot of its quests, it'll put you into sort of like moral dilemmas, where it'll throw you onto both sides of the plate and it'll give you like both perspectives from the story, and it'll be like, oh, you know, this guy's really nice, but he's stealing money from the poor, and this guy's like a thief, but he's doing it to feed his family. But like, the way I was playing it, it was just like, well, he's a thief, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, you'll like get that guy.
And like literally the moment I got the chance, I just murk them.
Right. And that's so crazy.
And a lot of the quests would actually weirdly facilitate it. Where it's just like, you don't like vampires. Have I got news for you?
Whoa.
What's
happening on the computer?
Boom, things opened up. It's probably fine.
Oh, geez, man.
I think you gotta pop up. Oh no. Certain software got updated
itself. No, what I was gonna say. Fuck, what were you saying?
I was talking about how like the kill option is very interesting.
So to me, what I like about the way that Skyrim plays when you do pick, like, here's the thing: it's easy to be like morally ambiguous anti-hero and be like,
oh yeah.
And this is a journey that I've gone on this year, which we'll talk about more in the Patreon only section of this podcast. But something that has happened to me this year is I went from at the start of the year being like, I don't give a shit, everything's bad, the world's going to hell, this is all balls. To now where I'm like, anything earnest that expresses like a complex, interesting message of hope, I'm like, that's fucking excellent.
Yeah.
And this video game, Skyrim, a game 6 years old, actually rewards you from like picking a perspective and sticking with it.
Yeah.
If you want to be a guy who does good stuff, then you can go out and do good stuff and you end up feeling things about it. If you want to be a guy that's like actually malicious and like not a guy that's like, I'm going to steal everything and do sneak stuff.
It's the if you compare it to like D&D like alignment, it's like everyone on their first playthrough plays the chaotic neutral.
Yep.
Or like chaotic evil. And it's like, that's like, you know, as soon as someone comes to a D&D campaign, they're like, my character's chaotic neutral. You're just like, fuck, you're going to be the worst. You're just going to like, I take my pants off and whip my dick around because I'm chaotic neutral.
Because that's your first instinct when you go, there's a new world to play and I'm going to be the person I can never be.
Yeah.
You know, whereas what you should do is go, well, what are my like ideals actually?
Yeah, let's pick a set of ideals and let's stick to them and see what happens.
And it turns out to be these really interesting things where you feel like morally conflicted because you suddenly have to go, oh no, this isn't what my guy would do.
Well, my favorite thing was when I was playing through Dawnguard. It's like when Serana got sort of revealed as being this NPC character, I was just like, I fucking have to lug this vampire bitch around, like goddamn.
Yep.
And sort of later in that storyline, she gives you the option of like, you need to do a thing. She's just like, I can either just make you a vampire, done and done. You can just do that, like, and you know, you can do the thing, or I can rip out part of your soul, leaving you half dead, store it in this gem, which we may or may not lose, and just see what happens. And I was like, second one, thanks, because fuck vampires.
Yeah.
It was this weird thing where it's just like the easy route and like the cool route, because that's like the first time you get the solid option of make me a vampire.
Yeah.
No, it's about the second time. But it's one of the times the game constantly is just like, do you want to be a vampire? And I'm like, no. It constantly gives me the fucking pre-vampirism disease, and I'm like, potion of cure disease.
You gotta get a fucking amulet of, the camera's off. Minor technical difficulties, but we're back, baby.
We're back with a different camera.
So I guess something that I wanted to talk about a little bit to kind of, I guess, tie all this together is really the reason that I think it's important to think about why this game has been made so many times is that when you nail the kind of freedom of experience that Skyrim did, and don't get me wrong, like a lot of the quest stories in inverted commas in Skyrim aren't good because the main one isn't like that great, and a lot of the faction ones is just like, go here, do this. But it's the stuff in the open world where you can affect the world in really small ways that is so fascinating to me. Like you can just do quests where a guy's like, hey, my donkey died and my shit's still on the road. Can you go get it? And you're like,
fucking fine.
Yeah. Or a guy's like, hey, this guy stole apples from my apple shop. Can you go steal them back?
My favorite quests are the ones that sit in the miscellaneous tab that then open up into like, not a long quest line, but like a short and succinct one. And like with like a lot of really cool options, and like, you know, it ends and it wraps itself up really quickly, and it's just like a really fun, like 1 hour experience.
Right. And then you go, cool, that was like a nice narrative experience.
Yeah.
That's exactly, I mean, that's what we talked about last week with AC Origins, and I think why that well works. But I think whereas that game does a good job of letting you be the kind of sheriff character and interact in delicate ways in the world, I think Skyrim goes the other direction where it's like, you can just affect things by doing shit a lot. So like you don't necessarily make the world a better place by being a character in Skyrim, but you have the option to like make some small people's lives better. And I think that, or worse if you want, like it's up to you, you know. There's a really cool quest line in Whiterun where there's two like kind of opposing families, and you can kind of choose to resolve their issues, make one on top, make one, you know, on the bottom, whatever, or kind of bring them both down. But it's like, okay, that's like a weird, like, why would you include that quest in a game about killing dragons?
Yeah.
But the game isn't about killing dragons. The game is about being someone in the world who's able to change things. And that ability, like, you know... And
also there's a lot of dragons.
There are a ton of dragons. But that ability to, like, go into a place and affect change... You know, the Solstheim DLC with the dragon... With, you know, the other... With Mirak and that whole
Dragon Boy?
quest. That whole quest. That's such a cool location, and the quest is so weird that... It feels like they were like, okay, let's do something buck wild, guys. We're going to do something buck wild. And they just did it, and it's fun and interesting, and the characters there are super different than in Skyrim, and the environment's, like, it feels different. And that, to me, is where you go, okay, well, that tells you how well-crafted the main game is, because when you go to a new place, you can tell you're there. Because people talk differently, they look different, you feel like you're doing different things for different reasons, like you start to change. You know, I changed a bit of my morals during that sequence when I was playing on the legendary difficulty. I'd gone from this guy who was like, I will do anything to survive, where I was like, I gotta take this guy down. Like, I have to kill him because he's fucking this place up.
Yeah.
And he was but it was like also like self-interest, because I was like, he's making it harder for me to get around because of all of his demons or whatever.
It's kind of similar to all the vampires with Dawnguard. I would go to a place, and then there'd be like a guy wearing a robe just like walking along the path. It'd be like, oh, what's this guy doing? I'd go up to him, and it's just like, talk to traveler. I'm like, cool. I press A, and he turns around, and he's like, aha, and I'm like, no, it's a vampire.
Yeah, right. It's like that intersection of it's neo-democracy basically, or neo-democratic liberalism basically, where it's like you've got like selfishness, which is like, I'm going to do this just for me, fuck everyone else.
Right.
I don't want to pay taxes, I want my money. Then you've got selflessness, which is like, I'm going to help anyone for no reason. But the real valuable thing is self-interest, where it's like, I'm going to help them because it also helps me. That's when shit gets done. And I guess what I'm saying is that Skyrim is a socialist tool to infect the minds of the young.
Yeah.
But if that's what it does, like, how good that a video game teaches you that you can do good in the world that also benefits you, and that's how together we actually make change. And it doesn't come from you being like, I killed the giant dragon. It's like, I helped the guy with his fucking apples, though. Or I helped the guy, like, you know, kill the flame atronach that was hanging out in his backyard, so now I don't gotta, you know...
Killing dragons has such little fanfare beyond the first one. Even the first one's got very minimal fanfare, but, like, you know, saving some boy's apples, or, you know, going to someone's house and picking up a sword from the desk, or just giving a sword to someone. It's like, oh, congratulations, here's 800 gold. It's like, I didn't bloody get 800 gold when I killed the dragons all the time.
And I think that's...
I get souls, I don't even like souls.
Yeah, you're like, I don't need them. But that's a cool, like... And this is why I think power fantasies in that way are kind of like slipping away from being popular, is that there's nothing better than like simulating actually doing, like, making a difference. Even if you're a bad character doing bad shit, you're still making things happen. Like, you're affecting change. And Skyrim is a game that lets you affect change in like a ton of a bajillion different people's lives in the game. You know, I've played the game so much that I know the locations and the spaces and the characters in them. And when I play new characters, I'm like, oh, he definitely going to hate this guy, because this guy, you know. Yeah,
because I'm still in the phase where, like, things will, like, catch me off guard. Like, I helped some guy in Whiterun, and then, like, 2 days later, I'm there walking along, and he's just like, oh, hey, friend, here, have this. And he gives me, like, 8 gold. And I'm like, first of all, I don't need your charity, but, like, second of all...
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it's exactly it.
And now whenever I see him, I'm like, oh, hey, man. And he's like, I've made a friend in Skyrim.
And that's why, like, when people look back at it and they're like, man, you know, that's the difference between, like, when we look back at Fallout 3 and we look back at Skyrim and we look back at Oblivion, the reason that Skyrim stands out as, like, such a fucking hallmark is because you get to have those emotional moments. Like, emotional is the wrong word, but you engage with the world if you actually do put the work in emotionally to engage with the world. That's, like, a crazy thing that most games don't get you to do. If you invest your time and, you know, psychic energy into Skyrim, you will get rewarded with
put your mind brain power in.
Yeah, you get rewarded with, like, a better experience. And that's, like, a fucking wild thing to put in a video game that has sold as many copies as Skyrim has. It has such like a broad appeal. You know, it's not just there's a layer of gameplay that is for casuals, and there's like a layer of harder gameplay for hardcore veterans.
Yeah.
There's a layer of investment and interaction for normal people, and then if you actually put the time in, the game genuinely rewards you for it with better interactions. You feel more a part of the world, and the world building is more like the whole. It's like a domino effect, and then you end up having this experience like the night when I finished this big quest when I was playing the survival character. It was like horrifically difficult. I can't think of even what the mission was. It must have been a Dawnguard quest or something or other. But it was just like this incredible slog, and I used up all my resources, and I had like no coin whatsoever. And I was like, I have to fucking walk back somehow to like Whiterun to go to sleep so that I don't die of like.
Does it disable like fast travel as well?
I just don't use fast travel.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm still at the phase where you have a liberal use of fast travel.
It's a slippery slope though. You gotta be real careful.
Yeah, I'm considering like I think another cool thing with Skyrim is that you can't actually do everything with a single character. Like it's physical. Like in terms of like skilling up. Like you can't play half the game as two-handed and be like, I want to go light armor and ranger now. Like it doesn't let you. So it forces you to like go back, start again, and then you're kind of encouraged to like maybe do something else. Like maybe don't go to Whiterun. Maybe go to a different city first.
Yeah, do something different first. And that's like like everyone goes to Riverrun, and then they all go to whatever it's called, Riverwood.
Yeah, and then they go to Whiterun, and then they become the Thane, and then
it's like you can just do other stuff.
Yeah,
and that's such a rewarding like different narrative, and that's why I think going back a second time is like so crazy powerful in that game, especially if you go in with the intent of doing a specific thing.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons that I keep coming back to it is like when you invest, the game rewards you for that investment. That's not something that every video game does, and I think that when people talk about what Bethesda does really well, they sort of conflate the world building, and they conflate the the first person stuff, and they conflate the combat, and they conflate the VATs, and they conflate all this stuff as being the same thing that's good about the game as those interactions, and they want to, they want the game to be well rebuked because it has features that other RPGs do well. But the truth is, Skyrim is good because it does things that most RPGs don't, which is those small interactions that let you like when you do engage with the world ideologically and emotionally, you actually get something out of it.
It's a bloody good game.
It's fucking fantastic. It's that time of the week, man. Where can people find us?
Facebook.
DCM Works is social.
YouTube.
YouTube.com/DCMWorks.
Twitter.
At DCM_Works.
Patreon.
Almost forgot that one.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/DCMWorks. I just did the mail outs for the t-shirts this week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Everybody got that t-shirt coming. I'm wearing mine right now. It's very nice.
I'm wearing a work shirt.
It's very nice. So your t-shirts are in the mail. I think most of them have arrived. It took me a minute to get it all organized, but I think they look fantastic. And I'm really, we really appreciate you guys supporting us. It does help out the show. It means I can afford to pay for the cameras and the lights and the beer and the time and the shoes and the editing equipment and the editing software. It really does help out. So if you do want to help support us, that's the best place you can do it. $1 a month seriously does help. Like, you'd be surprised how much difference it makes. That's it's another chip at the edge of the server cost or the whatever it is. So we really appreciate it. Patreon.com/DCMworks. And also thanks to fucking all the patrons, man. You're keeping it 100, as the kids say.
100.
100.
Yep.
But if you want to get some merch, the Patreon only shirts, you can't buy this until the same time next year. But if you do want to buy,
Jesus Christ, a year away.
Yeah.
Boy.
There'll be new shirts with it, though. There'll be a new line. It's going to be an ever-expanding Patreon only.
We're going to do a Black Friday sale next year.
Yeah, until I've rigged up a proper database when you can go and buy them whenever you want. It'll just be once a year. Because this baby boy has never done any databasing before, but he's going to learn just for you cats. But yeah, so if you do want to check out some t-shirts, if you want to buy some, where can they do that, Benjamin? T-shirts, buy merch. Where can they buy merch?
Redbubble?
Yeah. What's the link, though? I was
.com/people/DCMworks?
Yeah, I was kind of turning it on you. Because you normally...
I forgot who our merch provider was.
Yeah, because you do the thing and then I turn it... Yeah. We might be switching to Spreadshirt soon because they have a better privacy setting for some of that stuff. But keep you guys updated. The shirts will be up there forever anyway. Save some kind of Trump-based apocalypse. But yeah, I think that's it. We didn't do
more likely than you
this
think
week because our recommendation is fucking Skyrim.
Oh yeah, that's all I've been
Play
doing.
it wherever, whatever box. It comes on it's probably on your iPhone. Like,
That's the one I'm surprised they haven't jumped it to mobile.
oh,
yet.
you know Todd Howard gonna fuck with AR. He gonna be like, "You guy play Skyrim real life, please."
I
gonna
mean,
be
well, they're
real
doing
bad.
Skyrim VR, which
Yeah.
that's not.
But on top of that, if you are a patron, we're going to be posting a part 2 to this episode, which is just going to be us
We're
ranting
just gonna
for,
kind of
like,
talk about Skyrim for a few hours.
Bethesda games and see what happens.
Yeah.
We're going to see how like detached from reality we can become.
Well, there goes gravity.
Oh no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the Eminem.
Okay.
But yeah, should have done it. That's it for the show this week, Ben. I'm at DC my Hit Pie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
And we'll see you guys next week. It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
Makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is
Because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
we went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.